Welcome to Keto Life Support, where we make your keto life sustainable, fun, and low stress. I'm Kim Howerton, and I'll be coming to you weekly with some of my keto besties to bring you the practical, real-world keto advice that you need. Quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and even if we do have a doctor in the house from time to time, he or she is not your doctor, and nothing we say on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always check in with a trusted medical professional about your own personal medical concerns.
Hello and welcome to Keto Life Support. This is Kim Howerton, and this is episode 106. Today we're talking to Cindy Miller, who you might know better as Ask Nurse Cindy. We just love each other to death, and it is such a nice time whenever we can get together, and we did that while we were in Utah. So please enjoy this little chat. We specifically talked about how we both took up weightlifting in our not so young years and the benefits, the reasons. It's just kind of an overview of why we got into it, what our motivation was, and a few tips and tricks to get started if you're super intimidated by doing any type of activity. So please join us for this chat, and I'll be dropping in with this topic in more detail in the future as well. But any time with Cindy is a good time, so enjoy.
Well, hi.
Hi. Fancy meeting you here.
I know, right? So this is Nurse Cindy of Ask Nurse Cindy. And some of you have been asking about Ask Nurse Cindy.
What have they been asking?
And what they've been asking, what is Nurse Cindy doing? Where is she?
She is alive and well.
Okay, Nurse Cindy is doing well, and I found her in Utah.
I'm like
I
a
found
lost
her
sock.
in Utah. It's like, where's Waldo? But Nurse Cindy has been busy during the weird times, as we will call them.
Yes, there have been some weird times.
Yes. But for those of you that aren't familiar, Nurse Cindy, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi. My name is Cindy Miller. I go on Facebook and YouTube as Ask Nurse Cindy. Not ASS, but ASK, just in case
to be clear.
I'm stuttering.
Just to be clear.
And I've been a registered nurse for 44 years, and I've been keto for 6 years, and I've lost 94 pounds. That's amazing. Or 90. Or 89, depending on the
day.
And the day and my hormones.
Yeah, right. So, and Nurse Cindy is amazing because she has also reversed. Well, she's just amazing because she's amazing, because she's Cindy. But the other thing you guys should know is that she reversed her type 2 diabetes.
I sure did.
Yeah. And now, you know what Nurse Cindy has been doing? Nurse Cindy has been lifting weights. Nurse Cindy, I can attest that there is a nice bump right here.
I don't have the right shirt on to show it off. And I'm not going to.
Don't be naked.
No, don't.
Okay. I mean, you know.
If I'm naked, you'd be afraid.
There would be problems with our FCC rating.
That's
right.
Yeah. But I have been working out.
She has been working out, and she is a buff lady.
I'm less fluffy.
She cannot also take a compliment.
Oh, who's talking?
Neither one of us can take a compliment, which is why we're friends.
This is true.
Yeah.
And I have been observing that you're going to the gym as well. What is the heck going on with the two of us?
What has happened? We don't even know who we are anymore. Mm-mm. Like, because once upon a time, like, I would rather do almost anything than move my body.
Yes. I was very good at stability and quiet and not moving.
I appreciated more than anything a good lounge chair.
Recliner for me.
Yeah. And so we were talking about the fact that both of us we're past.
Journey. How long?
I've been keto almost 6 years.
Okay, so I'm a little bit over 6 years.
Okay. It'll be 6 years like next month.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it took me a long while. Because I remember when I first started keto, there was a lot of discussion around the fact that you didn't need to exercise. And do you remember those conversations?
I do remember those, and I also remember a lot of other things that I've learned are not necessarily true for me.
Or almost anyone.
But I think part of mine was I just had so much to learn and change in my food and my thought process about food that to add exercise at the time would have been a real slippery slope for me feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I think that's true for a lot of people, that if you're like, I'm going to change my food and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that.
I'm not going to be on the internet as late. I'm going to go to bed.
So kind of a recipe for disaster to learn to do too much at once. But then on the flip side, you can kind of stagnate sometimes.
So true.
Because you change some things, and then you're like, oh yeah, the other things. But not now.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And what's interesting is, for those of you that have followed me, for 18 months, I said, hi, I'm Esther Cindy, and I've lost 75 pounds. I had this 18-month stall, and I didn't really change I don't know why I didn't start exercising at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did start being more active.
Okay.
My
so like you increased your step count.
Yes.
Yes. Nurse Cindy is well known in the keto community for the Papa squats, which were that she was getting in a little more activity just in her day-to-day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And one of the things I wanted to talk to people about a little bit, and I said, hey, Nurse Cindy, we should talk about this while we're together, because we're both here for a conference, is that for a lot of people, they're very intimidated to start exercising.
As was I, because my highest weight was 307. And when you're that large, or even in your mind, you're still there, to go into the gym with all these gorgeous bodies or people that are, I'm sure there are other people there that are fluffy, obese, or overweight, but I seem to only see the ones that are all buff. And it was very, and I didn't know how to use the machines, and heaven forbid, free weights.
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of people they kind of are clinging to this idea that either they can't exercise, or they don't need to exercise, or maybe even like almost it's not good to exercise.
It's too hard. Yeah. But you know what? Exercise can be something as simple as the Papa squats, which I can tell them what that is.
Tell them what a Papa squat is.
Well, a Papa squat is, they're sort of a potty squat.
Okay. All right.
So what I do, if you are a woman and you go to the bathroom, then you sit down, right? When you're done and blah, 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 you stand up and get yourself put back together. You've just done one squat.
Okay. So right? Yeah.
Because what is a squat? A squat is when you stand up and you sit back. That's a squat.
Right.
So I thought, well, shoot, I go to the bathroom numerous times a day. What if I just, and I got the idea when Ken Berry, we did this video a couple of years ago, we said, double your exercise. Get out of bed, lay back down, get out of bed again.
Okay.
And I thought, he says, you've just doubled your activity. I thought, okay, if I go to the bathroom and I stand up and and then I sit back down and stand back up.
Yeah.
I've done, so I started literally, and what I love about a bathroom is you can hold on to the sink and the wall. You've got something to stabilize. Right. And I couldn't even go down and hold, halfway down and hold at first. So I did one extra one each time I went to the bathroom. Then I started with 2. Then I got up to 5, and I was so proud. Yeah. So anyway, I try to do about 10, depending on what type of rush I'm in and where I need to be. 10, sometimes 20 if I've forgotten a couple of times. And so I can get 50 or 60 squats in a day, and literally just takes you a few seconds after you go to the bathroom. So that's my Papa squat.
All right. So, and if you don't like the idea of doing that with your pants around your knees.
No, you get yourself put back together.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, because I think people have that question.
Oh, yeah. It's a burning question, and what I want you to do.
I just wanted to say, what's the option there?
In my mind, it was perfectly clear that I did not do these moderately half naked. No.
So, that is some extra thigh work, because if you got to keep your pants from falling onto the floor, you're doing a little adductor movement as well.
You could do that.
Yeah. But okay, so you put your pants
funny.
back on. Okay.
Yes.
Just to clarify, the form
should have been more clear. It's all right. I do.
But I would also like to say that you can do the same thing anytime you sit down anywhere.
This is so true.
So I am in a very squishy
Yes, you're squishy
chair right
you
now.
Are in a squishy
and
chair.
so if you can't just get up, then you can put your hands
Yes, you can.
and get up, right? And I could just do this. And you know what? This kind of works my arms too.
No, that's a nice tricep dip, isn't it?
Right? Yeah. So anything that increases your movement, it counts.
It will add some stress to those muscles, and muscles will grow when we pull or lift something heavy.
Right.
And why do we want to have more muscle, Kim?
That is a great question, Nurse Cindy. I don't call it. Well, do I call you Nurse Cindy? I call you Cindy. Yeah.
Please.
I was suddenly like, I feel like we're on like Mr. Rogers for a second though.
Oh yes. Well, I like because she's got a light ring, which is really cool. I covet it. And I feel like I'm on Romper Room, but you might be too young to know Romper Room.
No, Miss Nancy. I know Miss Nancy.
Nancy,
I'm not
Sarah,
too young.
And Johnny.
I
Anyway,
used to watch that. Okay.
Why do we want more
Some
muscle?
of these people are too young, though. But
True.
The reason that we want more muscle is, you and I both have heard Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
Love her. Yeah.
She is amazing.
Yeah.
And she talks about muscle being the organ of longevity. Yeah.
I think of my liver. I think of my heart as an organ. And as a nurse, I knew that the muscle was an organ, but I didn't really think of it as important as my heart or my lungs.
Right. I think the problem we have in, at least me, I don't know, you can tell me if you feel this or not, but when I think about my history with dieting, there was always this eat less exercise, eat less exercise, eat less. It was like fruits and vegetables, right? It was like this thing, they come together in your mind. And the idea was eat less and then simultaneously move more, exercise to burn calories. And
true.
To burn
it's
calories,
a difference, though.
right? It's different. It's like burn the calories and eat fewer calories and you get a net fewer calories.
Right.
Which is kind of true, but also kind of the thing that gets it our way.
Right.
And what I had to realize and what has helped me so much is not to ever think about how many calories am I burning.
True. Don't look at that little thing on the elliptical.
They are lying to you. Liar, pants on fire. But to think about just my health.
Yes.
In terms of exercise. Like, I think food I do more for like weight loss. But really, ultimately, if I connect exercise to my health.
Right.
It has a very different
It's a continuum of what you... Yes, it does.
Whereas if I think about exercise equals weight loss, it feels punishing. Or like you exercise to make up for what
one more
you
thing
ate,
I have
and you
to
have
do.
to do it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just a big mindset shift from I have to exercise to lose weight to I have to do things that challenge my body, especially my muscles.
Yes.
So that I will be a healthy old person one day.
Ding, ding, ding. And I think that's so valuable because when you, and Dr. Lyons is Lyons, Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, and she really does a lot of muscle-centric medicine. And if you're a woman and you are over 40, especially if you're in the 50 or me, I'll be 65 next week.
Over 40. I raise my hand.
She
over
qualifies
40.
Then. What happens is as we age and we eat the protein, and if you're following Kim, I'm sure you understand the importance of protein. We don't use it. We don't assimilate. And I have a weird finger right now.
She hurt herself. Got a boo-boo.
I got a boo-boo. So these are not webbed together all the time.
She is a part fish.
I sort of could do the Vulcan thing somehow. But anyway, I digress. Squirrel. We don't access and store that protein or have it available to us like we did when I don't do it as well as you do.
Right. You have something, you're developing as we age, something called anabolic resistance.
Bing.
Which is, I think of it like you have an extra filter on your protein.
It's like a screen, right?
Exactly. It's filtering out too much protein. Yep. And so, whereas when you're young, it's like you get bonus points. You eat a little bit of protein and your hormones like multiply it because you have a lot of growth hormone,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And we can't think when you get, as you're aging, your hormones are like sucking away the protein.
Yay.
So you actually,
good for us. Yeah.
You actually, it's kind of sucky.
Yeah, sucky.
But you have to actually eat more protein than you think you do. And you need to eat more protein
to just net the same amount.
Yeah.
It's like taxes are being taken out the older you get your paycheck. So
tax.
And plus, before I forget, it was 5 years before I really did any type of consistent exercise.
And a good 5 years for me too.
Yeah. So for me, it was more important at the time to simply get the food dialed in and to get some weight off so that I was willing to even walk into the gym. And then I really dislike sweating. I really do. I think that's just sort of wrong. I know there's value there, but the thought of having to do 35 or 45 minutes of aerobics and then try to do a few machines. So I flipped it and I do just a little bit of warm up because what works for me, and I can't speak for you or for others, is that now that I understand that the more muscle I have, and as a woman, you won't see me where I've got the like big bull neck or that. I just don't have enough testosterone to do that. When I go in and purposely really work those muscles and lift heavy things for me, it will stimulate muscle to build along with my protein.
Which we want. We need to build.
We want that. And that muscle is so metabolically active that my resting rate goes up, the calories that I burn in a day, just sleeping go up.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel awesome when I can lift something heavy. It feels great.
It's very emboldening, right? Yes. It makes you feel like you're doing something good. Yes. And whereas like when I was growing up and probably you're in your past, there was sort of like this, got to do your aerobics. I hate that.
And that's fine if you guys like that, but I sweat
You love it. But I think it's really, for me, the real change has been about adding a lot of resistance training or weights. Yeah. And then just trying to move more. Yes. So like my routine is actually that I go to the gym and then I walk home from the gym. If you
I would get hit by many cars, but I do not have
great
to if you could do that. That's a fantastic.
Yes, that is not possible for everyone, but you could also drive home and then take a walk if you can't do the
or warm up for 5 or 6 minutes
for a little bit. But really, I'm not suggesting you not be active. I think everyone should be active. But if you had a choice between the stair climber for 45 minutes and the weights, I would say 100 times out of 100, you should
at
do
our age
the weights.
With our gender. And I think even for guys as they age, they end up with the same muscle wasting. And I forget what age it starts at, but unless you're intentional about doing heavy things, lift, the hinge, the push, the pull, all the different other things, you will lose about 1% of muscle mass per year. Yeah. And that's why when you hug an older person, sometimes they feel so frail. You can feel all their bones. And then if you fall, you don't have the muscle to cushion, and the hip fracture happens. Right. And I want to bounce a little bit.
And the main reason that people end up in care homes is actually not because anything is horrendously wrong with them. It's because they can't take care of themselves anymore.
They can't toilet
because
themselves.
They can't get up and down off their chair. They can't get out of bed. They can't get off the toilet.
They can't bend over if something drops on the floor.
And they're just a fall risk at all times.
Yes.
And
so true.
Very true. I think all of us want to be as independent as possible for as long as possible.
I want to be sassy.
Right?
Sassy at 70, and we got to think something that goes with 80, but enlightened at 80, I don't know. But I really want to be that little
energetically
lady that
80.
Yes, sassy at 70, energetic at 80.
Yeah. Because
naughty at 90. No kidding.
yes, let's do that.
No, I'm sure there's other N words, but
why not? Why not?
Naughty at 90.
But yeah, it's so important, and so I think your priorities shift as you age a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, and once I understood that, once she said that about muscles, the organ of longevity, and she talked about falls and the same type of thing about going into assisted living, and I started thinking, okay, I like that I can start with a 5-pound weight and so many reps. A rep is a movement. And then I can maybe move to 8. It was measurable for me. It was something that I could track versus saying, there goes more sweating on the elliptical.
Right. Which and what we know about exercise, like elliptical training or whatever, we get this idea that it's doing more than it really is because our body adapts to the thing we're doing.
You
and
have to do it longer.
And harder and more. And in a way that... I might just be biased against aerobic exercise.
I know I'm biased.
We don't like it, so this works for us.
Yes.
But yeah, and I feel so good about, I'll be honest, I have some family members, as they're aging, I'm seeing them start to deteriorate physically. Then they're mentally fine, but they're physically deteriorating. Yes. And I see how frustrating that is.
Because we want to be
feel
independent,
trapped in their body. Yeah. And I have to say, I spent a lot of years feeling trapped in my body, like that feeling like I am in this fat body that is not the body I want to be in.
Doesn't reflect who I need to be or want to be. Right. And when you're trapped in with that and you don't feel there's a way out. So for me, I had to get the food dialed in and lose now others, you may want to start working out right away or a couple months in. I don't know why. And I heard Dr. Lyons, and I think we started working out really
probably close together.
Yeah, but we hadn't planned it.
But think about it. How many years did we know that we should probably change our diet and we didn't?
59 for me.
Right. So you got to give yourself the grace to say, at least I finally did it.
Yes.
And the same with the exercise. At least I finally did it.
I can't change my past, but I can certainly
change the trajectory of the future. And I have a lot of clients who they don't really consider the activity part as important as I think it really is. And so I wanted to talk to Nurse Cindy and really just get this on a recording to say this is really important. So how did you get started?
Well, I had a lot of dumbbells sort of laying around the house or in different places out in the garage.
Don't call your husband that.
Well, don't tell him.
Okay, all right.
And then that I wouldn't have a lot. I would just have him.
Okay.
But I had different barbells or like dumbbell things that we had and that he'd gotten or I'd gotten, and then just never done anything. So I first collected them. And rather than go to the gym right away, and if you can't afford a gym, there's so much you can do with your own body weight.
And there are things around your house to lift.
Yes. But I started just sort of watching some videos about form and doing this. And then with COVID, we weren't going to the gym. And then they lifted it. So my husband and I decided we'd join up with the Gold's Gym again. They had a special. And then I started going with really basic things. And I got a trainer, which was a big step for me to pay money for someone to. And when I met with him, I said, okay, I'm not going to pay you to watch me do aerobics for 20 minutes.
No.
I want to lift heavy things. I want to build muscle mass, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me, he's like, really? And I actually was working with him and I think those of you that do follow me have heard that I wanted to do a powerlifting competition. Well, he had the audacity to move. Take a promotion and move and leave me. I said, you're leaving me. You're cheating on me. But anyway, so, but by then I had enough confidence that I felt, and I understood sets and reps, but you can, boy, if you've got a gallon jug that you're not going to throw away after whatever, or you get water jugs, fill those up, tape it down with water, and you can just take those gallon jugs and lift them. You can do, like she was doing on the arms of her chair, and I've got my hands on the couch. And you can do tricep dips like this. There's so much you can do.
Take out a sturdy chair. You can do dips. You can do leg raises.
There's apps, aren't there, online? There's different apps about...
YouTube has tons of workout. And the important thing is, don't hurt yourself.
Oh, no. Slow.
Slow and steady. But there's a ton of stuff you can do. I'll try and put some resources in the notes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
For some things.
That's a good idea.
But ultimately... So what I started doing is I was like, okay, I want to start working out. I want to start lifting weights. First, I'm going to carve the time out of my schedule. Because if it's not in your schedule, you're not going to do it. So what I started doing, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to work out on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. I knew those were the times. So I was like, I need about an hour. So I started going for an hour-long walk.
Wow.
At the time, I figured I'd be going to the gym.
That's good.
So, because I was like, well, I can go for a walk. I know how to walk, and that's not intimidating.
I'm glad you know how to walk.
I know how to walk. I know that one.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so I would just put it in the schedule, and I would go do the walk for that hour.
Smart.
And then after a few weeks, I just was used to being active in that time. So then I started adding more walking because I was going to replace that walking.
Smart.
And then I went to the gym during those times. And my rule was that I had to do a certain number of exercises.
Nice.
And I did some research ahead of time to know which ones I wanted to do. My rule as well was I have to understand what I'm doing.
And be safe.
And be safe about it. So there would be me at the gym standing in front of a machine saying, I want to do this machine, but I don't know how to do this machine. Or I want to make sure I do this right. So I got my little earbuds in and I'm watching the YouTube video. And I'm
because my gym has QRG codes. So I can scan it and it takes me to a little video on YouTube of what to do and what it's for.
Right. So I would watch the video. I would do the exercise. And the first week, I did everything with weights that were almost too easy. I did the resistance level just to get the form down. And then I was like, okay, I want to be slightly challenged. And so, but then by week 3, I was like, okay, I'm ready for a real challenge. I'm going to do the weight that is hard. And I just
you have to stress muscle enough to almost do these little micro damage tears. Not enough that you can't move for 8 weeks, but
you need to you need to feel like I could. You don't want to feel like I can't do one more. You want to feel like I can't do 2 or 3 more with perfect form. As soon as your form starts to break down, what do I mean by form? Like if you're doing a curl and you're supposed to be able to do this, instead you're like,
yeah, and it's going all
you're
over.
Done. You're done.
Yeah.
So
that's enough for today.
Right. You don't want to get to that point. You want perfect form. You want to be
and
doing
isn't it fun to know this? Did you know this at first? I didn't know this at first.
And so we don't want to go too down the rabbit hole. That's my specialty. But it doesn't have to be quick, but you have to get started.
Yeah. I had been at the same time, I was simultaneously reading 2 books, James Clear with Atomic Habits,
Love
which
that.
for me.
Love that.
And he talks about that you make a commitment to yourself. And one of the things he mentions a couple of times is that instead of saying, oh, I have to go to the gym, you say, I will go to the gym every other day. That's what, because that's
a good point too. I said 3 times a week.
Yes.
Because I knew if I said 4, I wouldn't do at least 2 of them, but I knew I could do 3.
Yep. And he said, even if you just go for 5 minutes, if you make that, you write that down and that's your commitment. And then the other thing I learned, I was reading that book, Super Better, by Jane McDougall, I think is her name. Super Better. And she talks about gamifying things where it's McGonagall. Yeah. It's a great book, and I really learned. And so those 2, I was sort of, and he talks about habit stacking. James Clear does. But anyway, so I would go and I would sort of make it a game. And he said, I don't care if you just go in for 5 minutes, go to the gym, whatever schedule you've set up. I honestly have had a couple of times that I've driven to the gym and I am not feeling it. Not feeling it. And I would sit there for 15 minutes before I get out of the car. And this one time, I literally was there 5 minutes. You know, they welcome you. Hello, how are you doing? Oh, great. And 5 minutes later, I went and I did I think a few bicep curls, or maybe I did. I don't know what I did. And I was like, but I got here. Yeah. And I came and I left. So I think part of it is just the commitment to yourself. And for me, it was understanding that the more I can gain muscle, I'm protecting myself against injury, and I'm increasing my metabolic rate.
Right, absolutely.
Yay. For metabolic rate.
And did you share your age range? Do people know
age range?
How old you are?
60. I'll be 65 next week.
Yeah. I guess you have an age, not an age. But, I
was like age range.
That's weird.
Well, I'm according to this biometric scan thing I had done yesterday, my metabolic age, now it's not like a DEXA scan, but it was a bioimpedance thing that Dr. Rigby had for Ogden Clinic there, and they would do it for free. And it measures your visceral fat and your weight, of course. It says that my metabolic rate, I'm going to frame it, is 49.
So your
metabolic age, I'm sorry.
Your metabolic age, 49.
Yes.
So you're like
now, had it said 70, I would have said, "Oh, this is crap," and shredded it. But
you kind of want it. But you're like, I think this is totally a valid and accurate reflection because I like it, right? Pretty much. But it's probably right because you do seem like a much younger person.
Oh me.
But I guess I wanted you to share your age. Yeah. Because some of the people watching might be like, I am too old.
There's
to do
so
this.
much you can do even without, just to start somewhere.
Yeah.
When I'm in the grocery store, I do calf raises while I'm waiting in line.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do the self-checkout because for me, I get in line because it's an opportunity to do toe raises. And that's just simply where you take you hold on to the handle and you lift your heel off the ground. And I'll do both legs and then I'll do one leg for a little bit till that's achy a little bit. And if I'm at a stoplight, got the steering wheel, right? I use the steering wheel and I pull and I push on the steering wheel, and I'll do where you cup your hands. You remember they used to do isometrics a lot, those of you that have a certain age, the calisthenics, but they would do isometrics where you're pressing and pulling. The tricep dips. There's so much you can do in your home.
So much.
And anything you do to help your muscles engage more and be used more, especially if it's against any level of resistance, is going to really help.
Yeah. And so I guess I just wanted to put this together to say, like...
Because we never get to see each other.
Well, yeah, it's true. And say, like, I know it sounds like something you probably don't want to do, and it's something you think you should do, which is, like, the worst. Isn't that the worst? Like, oh, I should do that.
Yes.
It, like, makes you so much less likely to do it. But we both really have been loving the way we've been feeling.
It's hilarious. I never... Did you expect that?
No. And I will tell you honestly, the first month... I really struggled with once I got into the gym, I really struggled with feelings of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Feeling like people be like, you'll be so happy when you're done with your workout. And I would do my workout and I would feel terrible because I was comparing myself to some imagined standard.
And I didn't know what was enough or what to do.
But now that I'm like in the swing of things, I'm so glad I do it.
I know. It's
so glad.
Hilarious. It's, and sometimes...
Don't know who I am.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And it's really such a great, like there are certain times that there's certain special person I'm married to. We won't name names, Clarence, but I get a little tense. And really what I found is rather than engage in something that's going to, this is not a fight. We don't fight like that. I'm not with fists, but verbal. I'll just simply say, time to go to the gym. And boy, do I get in a workout.
Yeah. They've been actually, not that I'm saying you use the word anger, but they actually have found that anger is a great motivator in the gym.
It really can cause you to do Yes.
Yes. It's a good use. It's
yes.
productive.
And there's kickboxing classes.
Oh, nice.
I did one Zumba class. You notice I said one.
One, yeah.
They're going
you
this
gotta
way.
find your thing.
I'm going that way.
Gotta find your thing.
Very
And
embarrassing.
if you love classes,
Oh, yeah.
there are classes
Even
often
online.
you can go to.
Free ones online.
And then,
yeah.
but I would also like to encourage many of the women who have only ever done classes to try lifting heavy things. To try lifting heavy things.
Do we have anything heavy here right now?
We don't have anything heavy in this room. I don't know.
Nothing
It's
heavy.
just other than the sofa, which would be excessive.
But it has been surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
I like that I can measure it, and it's not like, well, I did 30 minutes on the elliptical. It's like, oh, now I can lift this many times, or I can chest press. It's just...
And one of the frustrating things about weight loss sometimes is the scale's not moving. And you feel sort of like victimized by your
I've
weight.
given up this and that, and I've done
then,
this,
like,
and you're
why
stupid
won't you
scales.
But like the lifting is that objective measure. You know if you lifted 5 pounds or you lifted 8 pounds or you lifted 10 pounds, and you know what you lifted next week, and you can look back and say, I started with 5 and now I'm at 10. You can see the progress happening.
And I never thought I would say this. I mean, who knew?
Who knew? Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? So anyway, we would like to thank Dr. Gabrielle Line for, saying some things that we didn't want to hear, but that we needed to hear. And also just to say, if you can move anything, you can do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your hips and knees are too bad, get those gallons of water and do some things.
There are
and
chair
do this,
routines. If you have balance issues, there are weightlifters in wheelchairs.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just because there's some things you can't do
doesn't mean you
can't do anything.
Yeah, and there's this one I'll send you the link that I found for my dad, and it's chair dance, some sort of chair. It's hilarious.
Chair salsa.
It's great. It's great. So even if you're chair bound, or you don't have the mobility, and a big success sometimes is just to be able to get out of the recliner without having to do the lift if you've got the lift recliner, or to get up without using your hands. Small changes are really big gains.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you all can do something, and I encourage you to do something.
Yeah, do something.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and I'll try and rope Nurse Cindy into doing more.
Would love that. And she told me I have to get this certain program so we can get together online.
Well, we're getting her into the
Dragon Man.
Whatever century this is. I have no idea.
Nope.
Yeah.
Don't know.
All right.
I'm always
math, not our thing. We will talk to you soon, and we're gonna go out with Dr. Barry.
I do believe we are.
I think
we're gonna go eat some meat.
We're gonna go eat some meat. All right. See you guys later. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Keto Life Support. Want more information? Want show notes? Want to suggest a topic? Just head over to ketolifesupport.com. That's where all that kind of thing can go on. By the way, I have a request. If you could go to your podcast host and hit subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it. And what would be even more awesome is if you could write a review. And what would be even more awesome than that is if you could write like a really flattering review. Just asking, you do you. All right. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm thrilled that you're part of the Keto fam. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.